Saintess summons skeletons. By Morn. Chapter 711, On vs Holy. To the surprise of no one, this round was barely even worth watching. It's a wonder you guys all paid this much for the seats. Will the next one be any better? Our matchmaking if fully random after all, what are the chances? Anyway, let's keep going. Up next, a certain Andorian hero who has been making some waves. Love's voice died down as the group was teleported to another waiting room. It was a bit less shabby than the previous one, modeled after the interior of a log cabin. Soft moonlight entered through the frosted windows, not letting the contestants look outside. Bookie undid his fusions and jumped around. I won. Sofia. I won. HMM, good job Bookie. I'm proud of you. Not going for a second one. No. I don't want to steal all your tournament. Alright. What about you Pestle, want to take a round or two for yourself? Sofia asked. Can Pestle his leg? The fairy asked, shocked, flying in front of Sofia's face. Sure. Maybe try to be clean about it, you have seen how many people are watching. Pestle very be clean. Unless something happens, next round is yours, then, Sofia confirmed with a thumbs up. About halfway through the waiting time for the next round, Sofia got the list of eliminations, the 4,000 and some names of everyone who had lost their first duel. She quickly scanned through it, and failed to recognize a single name. No surprise there. The second arena was a large moonlit clearing in a dense pine forest, cut in half by a shallow creek. The opponent was a beastman with large antlers and leathery skin. He piled on some kind of soul magic buffs during the 3 seconds preceding the duel, while Pestle excitedly jumped in place on the other side of the barrier. From the quality of the man's items to his rather weak-looking spells, Sofia already knew how this was going to go. The numbers on the barrier counted down. The barrier disappeared, and so did Pestle. The beastman, 100 meters away, was suddenly sent reeling back. His left shoulder exploded, and his arm was sent flying over the treeline. He barely had time to cast an instantaneous wind spell, which, to his credit, actually struck the invisible fairy, but utterly failed at stopping her. His second shoulder exploded. The arm getting caught and eaten mid-flight, disappearing into the abyss of Pestle's non-existent stomach. The beastman managed to stop the bleeding of his arms, and prepared another attack, not even trying to dodge Pestle as he was much too slow. The fairy attacked for a third time, carving a round hole through the man's chest as she flew through it like a cannonball. Stop playing with your food. Sofia lightly berated Pestle, rolling her eyes. Pestle not playing, the fairy yelled back while avoiding another wind attack. Though Sofia knew she was absolutely full of shit. Finally Pestle decided to live up to her name and attacked seriously. Sofia struggled to even follow her movements with her mana senses as the fairy blasted through the poor beastman's body several times a second. Before long, splatters of red blood stained the entire clearing. Sofia and Peritha's opponent for this round had become more air than flesh, and so much of his skeleton was gone that it could not even try to stand up as a thrall. And this, folks, is why we're all glad the Fae are no longer at war with anyone. Hopefully it stays that way for a long time, Love commented before Sofia's group disappeared from the arena once more. Round 2/13, win. Pestle not play, the fairy denied once again when everyone reappeared in the next waiting room. Sure, Sofia answered, you've got some flesh still stuck between your teeth. Ack. Again, nobody Sofia knew lost during this round, and the third match soon came around, the arena changing for the familiar environment of the red sand desert. The opponent was another elf, he wore familiar white clothes and an orange belt. I'll just handle this one myself. Sofia stepped forward, quickly tying her black belt from the second trial around her waist. The elf seemed both surprised and elated to see this, so much so that it seemed to make him forget the fear which was written on his face a second prior. He used the 3 seconds of preparation time to bow instead of anything else, and Sofia reciprocated. That was as far as each other's courtesy went. The moment the round started, the elf teleported right next to Sofia. His punch never reached her. His bones were frozen in place. Sofia plunged a hand in the elf's chest, cleanly fishing out and crushing his mana heart to bits. That was it for the third round. Round 3/13, win. After the awfully short third round, Saria and Cynthia reappeared in their spectator room. Jesus, Brandt exclaimed, this has to have been one of the fastest rounds ever. Pretty much just what I expected, Saria answered with a shrug, tickets were free anyway. Can't imagine paying so much mithril for that, these guys taking the seats are crazy, Brandt continued, your sister's gonna be disgustingly rich after that. I got a good deal of money out of it myself, barely matters though, I just want to see her fight him already. How are the bets looking for that? Brandt asked Cynthia. Pretty divided, actually. Sorrow bet against her, even. Wait, really? Saria asked in shock. Yes. Can't read you the entire thing, but basically her thinking is that the money will help cheer Sofia up if she loses. I don't know if that's stupid or genius, Brandt commented, probably a bit of both. The group kept chatting, and a few minutes later, received a notification about Sofia's next opponent and the current ticket price, which was soaring up by the second. Aw shit, Brandt cursed under his breath, what did I do to be this unlucky? I didn't sign up to get humiliated like that. At the bottom of a deep ravine, Sofia discovered her fourth opponent. Oh. That's the hero guy from Saria's team, she told the skeletons, giving only a cursory glance to the illusory spectators seating in the galleries that scarred the sides of the ravine. Do Pestle need leg? No need, Sofia told Pestle, this guy looks like a solid knight, look at his armor, I was thinking Perith could take this one. Up for it. Perith did not say a word, he dispelled his exalted exoskeleton, adjusted his size to be the same as the man on the other side, and summoned his weapons and armor of light to copy those of his opponent. Love was flying over the arena and speaking, but sometimes Sofia just could not hear her commentary, she guessed it was likely a feature intended to avoid giving advantageous information away to the competitors. Oh wait. He's actually sitting next to Saria. I've not seen Tartaros or Sen in the public yet. Of course Sun is present every round. Leverla is here. Death isn't, I think, but maybe that's for the best. Lots of demons I've never met, though. Gotta wonder whose apostle they are. Is that blue-haired woman a dragon? She sure has weird horns, is that frown just a permanent part of her face or what? Only one fae. He doesn't look too happy either. The kleptras are easy to spot. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It's crazy that their human-adjacent form still looks that nightmarish. They should do like that person over there and hide under a veil or something. Actually, is that even a person or just a pile of blankets? Ah! They waved at me. So there is someone under there. Sure are some quirky people in the higher filters. How many skeletons? 1, 2, 7. The undead sure are wealthy. Richard isn't here though. Too busy maybe? Oh, Velour is here. Nice. Is that weird old man with floating robes next to her wind, then? Wait. Could that big hairy guy next to Cynthia be Hatred? I wonder if Mom will come. Oh, match is starting. Give them a good show, Perith. The sanctified grounds flared up before the 3 seconds buffer was even up, Perith was taking this seriously. On the other side, the hero cast a similar spell, lighting up the ground with even more holy magic. His sword doesn't look too shabby. A Damian steel coating it looks like. I wonder if that will be enough to damage Perith. The barrier came down, and, to Sofia's surprise, neither side attacked. They stared at each other, lightly moved, adjusted their posture. Perith took a single step forward and the man took a step back. In the end, it was the hero who attacked first. His lunge was fast, faster than Sofia could have managed with no buffs, but Perith flawlessly deflected the sword with his own, and countered with a shield bash. Shield against shield, Perith was stronger, pushing the hero back, but one of his skills activated and helped him keep his balance and fight back. This initial clash ending in a deadlock, after they were done measuring each other's strength, they both started using their active skills. Chapter 712, The Fight and Struggling of Hero Brandt. I need momentum. Brandt thought, disengaging and jumping back. Chains of light shot out from the ground, while the skeleton changed his posture. Lunge? He needed to make a choice. He could try to avoid the chains, but he would be unable to defend himself properly, or he could defend, and get chained. These both felt like losing tactics, so he opted to attack instead. Seismic strike. Magic gathered around his sword, and he struck the skeleton's sword with his own. The ravine shook from the strength of the blow, and 3 of the 4 chains of light instantly broke. Despite that, Perith's sword was barely deviated, slicing the air next to Brandt's helmet, and the 4th chain tightly wrapped itself around his entire left leg. Brant had no time to rest. Perith's shield struck his helmet with devastating force, crushing his jaw, but he took the opportunity to attack one of the skeleton's 3 heads, barely in his range. The blade of his sword made contact with the armor of light, which activated his blessing. His sword shone brightly with holy light, and effortlessly sliced through Perith's left skull. At the same time, his passives kicked in, quickly reshaping his helmet to its prior state, and healing his crushed jaw. The skeleton seemed completely unbothered by his one missing head. He simply took a step back and continued on the offensive, while Brant was forced on the defensive, desperately parrying one blow after the other, unable to move because of the chain. Ultimately this inability to move cost him his head. Perith found an opening and swung his sword. It was just short of actually hitting the Brant's neck, but the sword carved an arc of light in its path. The light sliced through Brant's neck armor like butter, and his head flew a few meters back. Even without a head, the knight still parried Perith's next strike, and, a flash of holy light later, his head explosively grew back. Without the helmet, his long, coarse blonde hair freely flew behind him. At the same time, the last chain broke, so Perith stepped back, wary of the attack that had managed to slice a head off. Sofia was containing her aura, so he currently had no passive healing whatsoever. I need to bring out the big guns or I'll die before having a chance to. Brant took an unusual stance, as if sheathing his sword to his side. Perith simply raised his shield. What, scared? Brant taunted, but the skeleton did not react in the slightest. Let's see you block this. Heroic arc. Brant's sword lit up like one of Sofia's overcharged bolts, and as he swung in an arc in front of him he gave Perith a taste of his own medicine with a devastating slash of light. Or so he thought. Gravity suddenly increased, as if the horrifying skeleton had become a black hole himself. Not only did Brant's attack miss, as he was instantly pulled close to Perith, casting the arc behind him, his sword harmlessly hit the side of his armor, and Perith counter-attacked in a similar fashion. His sword struck Brant's side, crushing the armor and mangling his torso and spine, only stopped from fully slicing him in half by the shield that Brant still held firmly despite everything. His right hand let go of his sword, and caught the wrist of Perith's right arm instead. Perith tried to pull back his sword but he was not fast enough. Without warning, the side of Perith's armor violently caved in, and his spine shattered just like Brant's. Brant had to let of Perith's arm to avoid an incoming kick, and the two fighters took some distance. Perith fixed his armor of light. His spine would stay broken but with his classless propping him up, this would not bother him much. On the opposite side, Brant's passive skills seemed to bring his health back to full again, but fatigue was already starting to show on his face. Perith jumped to the side. An opening? Brant unleashed a virtuous smite, his faster ranged attacks. It accurately crashed against the neck of Perith's main head, but dishearteningly seemed to have not damaged him at all despite the attack's doubled damage against the undead. He could not have predicted what was about to happen next. Perith stepped on the air and jumped again, sending him flying in Brant's direction. Brant raised his shield, prepared to block, but the skeleton shot past him, spinning around mid-air, and throwing his sword back, which flew like an arrow, at Brant's back. Brant tried to turn but he was a bit too slow. The sword pierced through his right shoulder and sternum before being stopped by the backside of Brant's shield. With the sword inside of him, Brant couldn't heal from the blow. And the skeleton, now without a weapon, was charging at him. Christ! I have no choice. A radiant pulse of light originating from Brant's mana heart blew Perith away, sending him crashing into the rocky side of the ravine. I need to pull this damn sword out. Brant let go of his shield, which was stuck because of the sword anyway, and tried to grab the handle of Perith's sword of light to pull it out. He quickly realized that it was pointless, and instead, pushed the sword up, cutting through the rest of his upper chest. He roared from the pain, but the sword was out in an instant, and he could start to heal again. At the same time, Perith pulled himself out of the hole his crash had created. Though the shock had been violent, he had once again sustained no damage. Brant threw him a wary glance as the sword he had just freed himself from disappeared into thin air. This is with him taking double damage. This is fucked. Since Brant no longer held his shield, Perith threw his away too, and grabbed his sword with both hands. The battle soon started again. A constant flurry of blows, slashes, thrusts, feints, only ever interrupted by the skills fired off from both sides, Perith unleashing his arc light whenever he saw an opening, and Brant using all of his attack skills as soon as they were off cooldown. Seeing an opportunity, Brant let Perith behead him a second time, whilst his own sword struck Peretha's waist. His hero blessing activated for a second time, slicing cleanly through Pereth's pelvis, spine, and left arm. The skeleton started falling back, and in the moment of consciousness Brant had still in his falling head before his skills kicked in and grew him another one. He smiled at his winning gamble. Even if this hadn't touched it, it would be easy to target the skeleton's mana heart after that and end this fight, he thought. To his horror, the skeleton activated a skill he had never used. His bones completely fixed themselves, and he seemed to grow tremendously in size just as Brant's consciousness faded, switching from his old head to his newly formed one. Monster! The newly formed head never received Brant's consciousness, impaled from above by Peretha's sword. Pereth pushed down on his sword with all of his strength, slicing the knight into two clean halves only linked together by the back of the skull. Brant's passive healing fought back against Pereth, even like this, but it was futile. Pereth stomped on the right side of Brant's torso, crushing his mana heart to dust. Round 4/13, win. Sofia and Bookie clapped at the performance. I have to give it to Saria, she found a competent teammate. If any one of these instant cut attacks had touched Peretha's mana heart he would have died. He accurately aimed for it with his last attack, too. SSS rank relocate core is just too good for a skeleton, though, there's no obstacle at all preventing it from moving around super fast. Well done, Pereth, it was a beautiful fight. Sofia shot a glance at the real hero in the public. He seemed rather unsurprised by the result of the fight, but Saria was visibly egging him on about his imprint getting splattered. They look quite close, hey. The pile of blankets is waving at me again. What do you want? The scenery shifted as Sofia observed the audience. We don't even get to hear any comment from Love this time? Oh well. Until the next round I guess. Hey, this environment seems familiar. Sofia looked at the walls around her. The waiting room for the fifth round was inside of some kind of tiny house, and she felt that she had already seen that style of construction somewhere, but she had a hard time pointing out where. After half an hour, it was time for the fifth round, and when she stepped out of the tiny house and got to look outside, Sofia immediately understood what this arena was modeled after. What had thrown her off were the colors. She observed the inverted ocean in the sky and the sprawling city around the plaza she was in. I never thought I would come here again. Hopefully I don't leave as just ahead, this time. And now? She finally spared a glance at her opponent. An avian. Chapter 713, Stay calm. Piece's domain looks better with colors. Sofia bent over, picking up a small rock, and lightly juggling with it. Seems perfectly normal. She threw the rock back to the ground and turned around. I'll just take care of the duels by myself until we get a real opponent now, alright. Have fun. Bookie approved with a thumbs up. We'll see about that. And to those who bet against Pereth in the previous one, we thank you for your sacrifice. Now for our next battle, this is an imprint who's been known to end streaks with her tricks. Avian magic sure has a devious side, so, what will it be? You still have 15 seconds to bet. Love tried to rile up the crowd. Despite that, the public did not look too enthusiastic. If anyone knows how to win with tricks it should be me. Her equipment looks decent but nothing exceptional. She does have a lot of mana compared to most mages our level. Nothing compared to me, though. Let's see. After the bets were all placed, Love announced the beginning of the match. The Heart Snatcher against Veli Hecta, begin. Sofia looked up at Love whose form was slowly turning invisible as the seconds counted down. Heart Snatcher? Well. Not underserved. Rich coming from Love itself, though. Sofia thought, casting a very weak piercing bolt and sending it crashing against a distant tower. On the other side of the barrier, the avian was flying away, frantically trying to put as much distance as possible between Sofia and herself, all the while leaving sneaky mana traps behind. To Sofia's mana senses they were clear as day. Interesting technique. Anyone who's familiar with Sovoln's spatial anomalies would notice that, though. After 3 seconds, the barrier came down. The avian kept flying away while channeling something, while Sofia had lazily started channeling 2 piercing bolts. She's at her max speed already, it looks like. Trajectory predictable, she's too focused on her casting. Ambient mana is fine. Currents oddly stable, even. After channeling for a few seconds, Sofia held 2 stable javelin-like bolts. Should be enough. So, first. I just need to give it the proper spin. Sofia threw a bolt to her left, as if aiming at Peace's castle, and it disappeared beyond the horizon without hitting anything. Immediately, she started channeling an explosive bolt in that hand, then she turned back toward the avian. She's not even looking. Sofia threw her second piercing bolt, precisely aimed at the spot the avian's head would be in 1/10 of a second. She had traveled quite the distance in little time, but couldn't go too high due to the overhead sea, which made Sofia's aiming easier. At a speed of about 300 kilometers a second, the bolt flew toward the avian's head like a death sentence. Yet, without looking, the avian managed to avoid it, letting herself fall just a tiny bit, enough for the bolt to barely miss her head. The bolt harmlessly flew past her, while another pierced her skull from ear to ear. The bolt Sofia had thrown in another direction had returned. Got ya? That's right. I was taught to fly by an avian, I know all your tricks. As if the bolt wasn't enough, the injury interrupted the avian's long channeling, causing her a huge backlash as all the mana she had been handling ran wild through her body. Is she gonna crash? Well, that makes the parabola easier to calculate. I really need to send the throwing technique master a thank you gift after the trial, this just makes the bolts so much better. And 500,000 should be enough, right? Sofia threw the explosive bolt toward the sky. An instant later, as the avian crashed into a house at the limit of Peace Domain's gargantuan city, the bolt reached her, engulfing all nearby houses in a large ball of blue fire. Did that do it? She asked out loud, a hand over her brows, as if that could help her see through the houses blocking the view. Round 5/13, win. Looks like it did, Sofia said, turning around, and back to the waiting room we go. Bookie was staring at Sofia, jaw wide open and holding his skull. What? Surprised? Maybe you should have been training with me instead of playing with Lepo, Sofia teased him with a smile. The 6th round came and went with similar ease. An Exidian thought he could attempt to kill Sofia with some kind of advanced invisibility spell. Getting close to Sofia was a mistake. His skeleton promptly turned him into an invisible mop. What was a lot more of a surprise was one of the names in the list of people eliminated that round. Saria is already out. Sofia exclaimed out loud, scrolling back up to confirm the name she had just watched fly before her eyes. What the hell, she actually is? There's what? Maybe 3 or 4 people who even have a chance against her. And I wouldn't bet on any of them, really. Did she encounter Tartaros? That early? It's good news for us, right? Bookie asked. Somewhat. Sofia answered, uncertain, at least it means we won't have to go against her. That might be for the best, she knows our skills too well. But at the same time, that's one fewer possible good fight for me. My mana heart hasn't progressed at all so far. Sofia too very kill, Pestle commented, nodding to herself, very kill not progress, she said with a shrug. I get that. But what choice do I have, they're just too weak. Once again Sofia could somewhat hear love through the door before the start of the round. And for this midpoint round, we have a very special fight. Or is it even going to be a fight? It could be a massacre. I see the bets are very unanimous once again. Guys. How am I supposed to make money if you all bet on the same side? Come on. HMMPH. You're all no fuhuhun. What do you mean I voted on the same side too? Hey. Shut up son. You're not supposed to be able to look up the votes. Ah. The seats are full already. You know, I wondered if we would have another very special person in the public, but someone's being shy. Too bad. It was the perfect opportunity for psychological warfare, too. Isn't that something you love to do? Or did you just not have the money for a seat? PFFTT. You've turned Suo Lame. I can't believe we used to be friends. I'd vomit. What? No, I'm not taking too much time. Are you the commentator or am I? Hey. Want a taste of my big fat love you Sanova bitch? A sudden quake shook the waiting room, knocking everyone over. And no refunds. Get fucked. Anyone else got anything to say? That's what I thought. Gak, open the fucking doors. The waiting room's door flew open, but Sofia stopped the skeletons from walking out. You guys stay here. Yes, even you, Parith. Please. Thank you. Sofia left the room without activating her armor, her eyes closed. She could already guess her opponent, having listened to Love. It was someone she'd been careful to avoid for the entire trial. Her mana senses engulfed the terrain around her, a vast open plain. She could feel a light breeze on her skin. The sun was shining on her skin, birds were singing. A perfect day to send a message of peace and compassion. Love kept talking, but Sofia was so deep in her own mind that she could barely hear her. She simply focused on her breathing, and on maintaining a neutral expression. She could feel the resonance of the essence she held and the one on the other side of the arena. It's just an imprint. Just an imprint. Sofia heard the sound of the 3-second countdown ticking down. She did nothing much other than reading the mana movements around her, and, to pretend she was preparing something, channeling the nymph graveyard without letting it be cast. After what seemed like an eternity, the countdown ended, and the battle started in an awful silence. The enemy immediately sent an attack. Judging by the shape and movement, illusory book pages, Sofia guessed. The first one cut deeply through her unprotected left arm, while the others all harmlessly crashed upon her, stopped by the Singularity Edict. A system window opened, visible only in Sofia's mind. She quickly took brief notes. Active, low mana usage, pages of light. Channeling continuous projectiles, low damage, inflicts weak curse. Noted. Next. Chapter 714, Fateful Negotiations. HMM. Yes. Interesting. That makes it 4 actives and 1 passive. Heart relocation, and an item that lets him quickly restart cancelled channelings. Considering its speed. S-rank mana heart probably. Stats heavily skewed towards mana. Higher Rigon than he should for what he has. Sofia was waiting for the next attack, but it took more time than usual. Starting to get suspicious? Fine, let's switch the roles, then. Let me have go at your defenses. Her eyes still closed, and without moving, Sofia quickly cast a weak piercing bolt, aimed at the oracle's chest. The bolt harmlessly crashed into a layer of mana that enveloped the attack like a veil, dissipating it. Noted. Let's see how much this can handle. Scales with the mana of the attack, I see. Like heat death, then. I can easily overwhelm it. Oh. That's new. Looked like a passive activation. Another curse? Oh, my thoughts feel slower. That's one nasty processing debuff. Good to know. Could he not do that before I attacked, or was he keeping it in reserve? That's all I'll be able to get without getting serious, it looks like. The Oracle's continuous rain of debuffs and attacks had managed to take Sofia to almost 40% of her health, since she did not defend whatsoever, so now she needed to change tactics before her racial started to activate and lock her in place. Refusing to open her eyes, Sofia started walking toward the Oracle, slowly. The various curses he laid on her, she accepted without flinching. The attacks he sent her way, she all dispelled with heat death. The Oracle tried to say something. Sofia stabbed her ears with bone spikes. She would not listen to a single word. More attacks came her way, the stronger ones disappearing long before reaching her, and the weaker lot curving around her and crashing into the dirt behind her. What a disappointment! Since the Oracle was frantically casting, he was not moving. Sofia slowly inched closer, until she felt she was close enough. The Oracle in her field aura, she applied what little control she could on his bones to slow him, and jumped in his direction. She was stopped just shy of having the Oracle in her close aura, some kind of runic bond forming around her left ankle. That's new. Good. Stepping on air with her other foot, Sofia forced on her bound leg, shattering the magic bindings. More came. And Sofia had more of an opportunity to observe the spell cast. It was instant, cheap, and could apparently be used several times a second. Just like that, all of Sofia's limbs were bound in place mid-air. Wait. This is also impairing my mana circuits. It's sealing my active skills. And it looks like the essence of feeding them? These probably won't dissipate in 100 years if they're not broken. Your signature skill is disgusting, hey. Just like you. Bound, Sofia squirmed and pretended to struggle. Come on, show me what else you're still hiding. The Oracle jumped back and started to channel something new, something Sofia felt was nauseating. She recognized similar mana structures to Holy Smite. In other words, the Oracle was trying to open a direct link to Scripture's domain. Sofia spoke, unable to even hear her own voice. I'm sorry, Jeffrey. I'm afraid I can't let you do that. The admin's dagger pierced through Sofia's back from the inside, held by a bone hand made of her own spine. On a flexible strand of bone, the hand quickly moved around, slashing all of the oracle's runic bonds. The oracle hastily dual cast some more bonds toward Sofia, but it was too late, she was no longer there. A maximum range summon self had sent her right behind him. His body starting morphing horribly. His bones instantly grew and twisted inside of him, transforming him into a spiraling long-limbed abomination, his skin tearing from the excessive strain. He screamed, but Sofia could not hear it, and yet, despite the pain, his spell casting continued. You force my hand. Sofia turned around, grabbing the dagger with her real hand, and masterfully carved out a large chunk of the oracle's side. This, Sofia could tell, was where the essence he held was. Losing that body part certainly would not make him lose the essence, but it was enough to disrupt the spell. Already mangled beyond recognition, the oracle suffered from the mana backlash. Still not dead? Oracles are quite tough after all. That's perfect. Here, please don't move. Sofia summoned a bunch of bone around the oracle, it closed around him like a sarcophagus, letting only an opening for his face and an opening on the left side of his chest. Carefully, Sofia controlled the man's bones to extract his heart through his back. She could do it with mana hearts, after all, a real heart wasn't any harder. Still connected to its arteries, a beating heart made its way out of the oracle's back, preceded by sharp bone cutting through the muscle and skin. Poor man, I see you struggle, no need to keep screaming, no god will come help you here in the trial. You're all out of mana. It's the end of the road. But don't worry, this is all according to your plan? Right. Sofia said. I'm just following the instructions of the book you gave me. You're a willing sacrifice? Right? All for your god, right? Sofia ripped out the man's heart and threw it to the ground, blasting it into oblivion with an explosive bolt. Sorrow deserves better than your shitty heart. Realigning the essence cores inside of her, Sofia drew a divine rune that was perfectly matched to this situation. Just like the oracle's limbs at the moment, it was a beautiful spiral. Mockery of the divine, dread. Like struck by lightning, the oracle spasmed even more inside of his prison of bones. Whatever sounds he might have been making, Sofia was thankful she needed not hear. The shock, apparently, was too much, as the oracle's body horrendously kept spinning on itself inside of the bone prison, even without Sofia's influence. His mana heart shattered. Round 7/13, win. Already over, Sofia mumbled, washing her hands with some summoned blood. She looked at the sky, unsure of where the public was watching her from. You're watching, right, Jeffrey? Or should I say, scripture, now? To think even your own oracle of hundreds of years you would kill without any remorse. I put on this show especially for you. I hoped you liked it. I really do. After all, next time, it will be you. With a wide smile on her face, Sofia disappeared, transported to the next waiting room. Well, love cleared her throat, so, son, you gave her a fifth of your essence, right? Are you sure you really know what you're doing? I'm just asking as a friend. And you disgusting thing in the back, stop clapping. Are you her grandfather or what? It wouldn't shock me at this point if she had a kleptron heritage, but come on. Wait, no, we actually have her like great-great-great-grandfather here. And shockingly enough he's human. So, what did you think about your grandkid? I'm sure everybody here is curious. H has opened a request for emergency chat room. Request pending. E has accepted request. D has accepted request. Loading language matrix. Emergency chat room is now in session. H, is everything ready for exception J0T6-2? D, data ready to preload. E, reagents intact and stable. E, requesting exception use probability analysis. D, players Sofia Afinareth and Perith, exception J0T6-2. 99.9% use probability, low error margin. H, requesting success probability in exception J0T6-2. D, unable to calculate. H, requesting mana heart awakening probability with current matchmaking assuming failure in exception. D, for given parameters, awakening probability. Perith 100%, Sofia Afinareth 0%, no error margin. H, requesting permission to alter matchmaking following attached file. Brackets.csv. E, granted. D, for altered matchmaking, awakening probability. Sofia Afinareth 73%. Exception use probability 62%. Low error margins. Exception data unstable, will be lost if preloaded and unused. Are you sure you want to proceed? H. This is what he would have done. D. Granted. Matchmaking has been altered. Beginning preloading of E.J0T6-2. Emergency chat room is now closed. Chapter 715, New Levels of Disrespect. Ah. No. So early, the woman on the other side of the arena cursed as she saw Sofia come out of her waiting room with Crowy on her shoulder. Sofia looked around. The arena this time was some kind of ruined elven city with plenty of large half-collapsed buildings, some of them still dozens of floors tall. Sorry, Sofia told the winged beast woman. Sonia sighed on the other side, not your fault, I just have to curse my own bad luck. Just the usual. Are your other skeletons not going to fight? Not pre-summoned. No, I have them stay out of it because my mana heart awakening is lagging behind, Sofia answered, no harsh feelings from that other event, I hope. The winged woman shrugged, I attacked you first. Are you sure you want your skeletons out of it though? I have my skills this time, you could actually lose. Shouldn't you be happy that I fight weakened? Sonia shook her head, I hate losing but winning against a gimped opponent isn't much better. Sofia laughed, her bone armor slowly engulfing her, let's see if you can still say that after the battle. You better take this seriously, Sonia warned, a narrow quiver with 5 mithrium-tipped arrows appearing at her waist. Oh wow, someone is made of money, Sofia thought as Love's voice finally started being audible again. And in a rare area this time. This is the first time it's appeared again since 12 arc runs ago. How will our contestants navigate this ancient city still littered with hidden explosive devices capable of maiming even a level 300? A single misstep could spell their doom. Is it finally time to seriously bet against the Saintess? I will give you 30 more seconds to place your final wagers. Sonia against Sofia. Dangerous arena? I don't feel any enchantments that could trigger an explosion. A mechanical device then? It's hard to feel anything precise under all this rubble. Now the question is, do I want to fight in the air or on land? There's plenty of cover here but it wouldn't protect against my bolts so I'm not so sure it'll help against an archer. She survived basically as long as Sen and Saria in the Abyss God event, so her defenses should be pretty impressive. Probably best to just move around a lot, sky or ground, doesn't matter. Potentially I could fly above the clouds to give the sun invulnerability to Crowy. Without any more announcements from Love, the countdown started on the barrier. Crowy flew away on his own, and Sofia immediately started channeling a piercing and an explosive bolt, as Sonia took to the skies, an arrow and longbow taller than herself appearing in her hands. The size of this damn mithril arrow. You could make an entire armor with that. 3 seconds of charge aren't enough to stop that. Pure mithril though, it looks like. Good for me. Can't mess the timing. When the countdown stopped and the barrier disappeared, the two women released their projectiles, Sonia down from the sky, Sofia from the ruined city underneath. With a deafening bang, the explosive bolt and the giant mithril arrow collided. 2 projectiles left the explosion. On one side the piercing bolt, on a straight path towards Sonia's head, and the arrow on the other, aimed at Sofia's chest. The graveyard nymphs had been precasted and waiting under Sofia, they had grabbed her ankles as soon as the barrier disappeared, pulling her to the spirit plane. In the blurry white sky of the spirit plane, Sofia barely managed to see Sonia's presence flicker as the bright mass of mana of the bolt went through her. Sofia counted a second before ordering the nymphs to release her. She returned to the physical world, in a cloud of hot dust and her feet in a pool of magma as the shockwave from the mithril arrow's impact was just dissipating. Without even looking, Sofia could tell there was a new rift tearing through the city behind her. Finally a serious fight, Sofia mumbled, 2 new bolts appearing in her hands. She jumped up out of the dust cloud, her sight locked on Sonia, much higher in the sky. The beast woman was completely unharmed, and holding a shorter bow. The arrow was already on its way toward Sofia. The only thing Sofia focused on was to relocate her core to her lower body as fast as possible. The mithrium arrow pierced through Sofia with little to no resistance. Despite its narrow tip, the sheer force behind the projectile obliterated most of Sofia's upper body. Only her right arm survived, protected by the dragon scale, and connected to her waist by a sliver of skin and flesh. There goes half my health. Tactical mistake. Sofia summoned a pre-made fake skeleton of herself, quickly snapped off the useless parts, and connected the spine and right shoulder to her remaining body. This was mostly to have a skull again so that Victory's crown could reappear on her head. A volley of magical arrows flew at her as she made the repairs, but heat death made them disappear right before they could hit her. Trying to get some breathing room, Sofia threw her remaining bolt, and started channeling her signature skill as she flew back down. "I see, that's what you're doing, Crowy, smart," she commented, tracking the skeleton's movements as she gathered all of her mana. More and weaker physical arrows rained down, but Sofia simply ignored them, most of them being warped out of the way by Dodge Me anyway. "Your time to shine, Ophoak, Calamity of Light." Awakening of the Five Calamities. With a strange low cry like the call of a sea monster, the Calamity of Light appeared, a monstrous destroyer skeleton, quickly summoning its own exalted exoskeleton made entirely of Lumian bones, with wings included. The Calamity flew straight up toward the beast woman without even needing an order, hundreds of lights like miniature stars appearing behind it as it moved, each exploding into a shard of light that tore through the sky like shooting stars. Sofia did not get to watch the spectacle, however, as a second Mithrium arrow had been shot her way, ending her life on the spot. Reviving 3 seconds later, still inside of a giant cloud of grey dust, Sofia hurriedly used the little mana she had regenerated to summon the graveyard nymphs, and let them transport her to some kind of tunnel, some 50 meters below the surface. Mining cart rails? Under a city? Sofia observed as she caught her heart shooting out of chest. No matter, time for a light snack. Crowy found a way down and joined Sofia while she transformed, bringing 2 Mithrium arrows in his beak. "You got both of them. Nice." Sofia stored the arrows in her ring. "She won't be shooting those at us again. Only 3 more." Sofia ran to the stairs Crowy had found and made her way up after telling him to stay down for the moment. Her mana senses could feel the incoming attack just as she stepped outside. Another giant arrow. Regret. Sofia appeared back down in the tunnel next to Crowy, grabbed him and ran to another exit as the entire underground shook from the impact above. She did not make it to exit before a secondary, deafening shock completely outshone the first one, heat radiating all the way down to the tunnel, and priming it for collapse. Each step Sofia took caused the underground tunnel to crumble behind her. Precasting a spell, Sofia ran up another exit. As if Sonia could exactly follow Sofia's whereabouts at all times, as Sofia expected, another Mithrium arrow was only meters away from her as she saw the outside light. She let her cast resolve, summoning herself right behind the flying arrow. 3 down. Flying up, she could finally see her signature skill in action, the giant flying destroyer chasing frantically after Sonia through the sky. She seemed to have already taken a few hits, but kept aiming her bow at Sofia nonetheless, as she flew erratically to avoid the skeleton as best she could. Sofia's plan was to fly close to Sonia and finish her with her aura, but before she could cover any significant distance, she noticed a strange mana movement coming from where she came from. She barely had the time to look back and extend an opened hand, a Mithrium arrow striking her palm. The dragon scale arm guard absorbed most of the shock, but Sofia's arm inside of it was badly mangled, and her shoulder almost torn off from her chest. She fixed her bones in an instant and stored the arrow before it could run out of momentum and fall down. Now actually 3 down. Ah, she's pulling out a mithril arrow again. It's going to be hard to get close. Let's see, the winning move from here is to take a quick nap. Sofia folded her winged and summoned a thin bone cube around herself. Since it was thin and empty, it was technically very little bone, and thus, she could give it blessing of permanent frame in under a second. She then took out the astrite chest and climbed inside with Crowy. There we go. About 25 seconds remaining on the destroyer, so we can afford 20 seconds of perfectly safe mana regeneration. Sofia summoned herself a pillow and closed her eyes, following the battle continuing outside with her mana senses as she rested in the safety of her instant fortress. Chapter 716, Totally Random Arena. A few more attacks were sent toward Sofia, but as she was no longer moving, Sonia quickly changed her focus to the destroyer instead, her attacks chipping away at its lifetime. I might not get the full 20 seconds, but close enough. Sofia watched her mana climb up by roughly 12,000 points a second, slightly aided by her demon form breathing in more than usual. It almost reached 300,000, while the destroyer only had a few seconds left. Just about enough. Sofia stored the astrite chest, unblessed the cube and stored it as well in a single breath. Sonia immediately noticed but couldn't attack with the light destroyer in the way. The runes on Sofia's chest and wings glowed, and she flew straight toward Sonia. I have 4 seconds of 3rd tier rune forged. 4 seconds during which her strength, agility, and speed were almost tripled. It only took 2 seconds to close the distance, letting the destroyer profit from the bonuses as well. Another Mithrium arrow was shot Sofia's way as a last resort, piercing through the destroyer, but it had lost enough momentum that way that Sofia could catch it mid-flight with her arm guard. This desperate attack left Sonia at the destroyer's mercy. The beastwoman's appearance flickered out of existence several times to avoid the relentless attacks. Sofia cast a low-power piercing bolt, aiming it at Sonia's head just before the destroyer was about to attack again. Sonia flickered out and in again to avoid the bolt, and 2 huge mandibles of light closed around her body the instant she reappeared. Round 8/13, win. Sofia's mana hit 0 again as the battle concluded and the destroyer disappeared, the mana maintaining it completely exhausted. Well. Interesting fight. Still though, I didn't get to see the hidden explosives. Sofia looked around, trying to find love, but she couldn't see the colorful garments of the goddess among the grey ruins of the city. As long as she keeps talking, though, I might have a bit of extra time. Sofia let herself fall to the ground, and started giving strong kicks into random piles of debris. It took her a total of 4 kicks, before she found the explosives, and was blown back up into the sky, missing a leg. From above she observed the bright explosion she had just triggered. It wasn't that far from the bigger bolts she'd thrown. And they do this shit instantly, with no mana. This put a frown on Sofia's face. A full year of mana debt to pay. I need to upgrade my bolts before they become useless. I'm just like Azerid in the end, rushing through things like an idiot. As Sofia was already going through possible ways to rework the explosive bolts in her mind, she was teleported to another waiting room along with Crowy. Oh, I'm back. Ice arena this time, she said out loud, looking at the waiting room carved in some kind of dense blue ice reminiscent of Midnisit. Bookie ran up to Sofia. Did you progress? He asked her. Sofia grabbed Bookie in her arms. Let me check. Current mana heart awakening progression, 51%. Oh, it actually went up by a whole 2%, she noted. Only 2. That's bad, Bookie said, worried. There are only 5 battles left. 6, Sofia corrected. Don't forget the grand finale. I'm also still waiting to hear the bell for my increased difficulty surprise, so with a bit of luck, things will be fine. Can't complain about getting 2%, Tartaros in the casino was only 8% after all. What if we don't reach the finale? Bookie asked. That would mean we encountered someone so strong we couldn't beat them. I'm sure a duel that serious would be enough to push my heart over the edge, don't you think? I'm still worried. At least Brother Perith is almost done. Don't worry about me, alright, Bookie? Worst case there's a full week after the tournament before the arc closes, chances are I could just have Perith and Pestle beat me into awakening. That probably would not work, a voice commented out of nowhere. Cake thief. Pestle immediately jumped up from the table, a fork and knife in hand. Aha, I am not here for any cake this time, Nex reassured her, still only a voice lingering in the air. I came to inform you that the High Scribes have made an exception for you. And that would be? Sofia asked. They modified the tournament brackets to give you better chances at awakening. Your last 2 duels were the result of that already, he explained. Really? I ought to thank them for giving me an opportunity to study the Oracle's skill set then. Not doing great in terms of awakening though, don't you have another Leviathan to throw at me instead? No, you almost broke the toy box getting that much of the damned thing to load in the first place, we are not doing that again. Hey! Were you not busy with the Phagiad? Sofia asked, still got time to spectate and comment like this. Worry about your own issues, will you? Although I think you will not have to worry about the awakening too much, in all honesty. Even if the High Scribes had done nothing, I personally believe you would have been fine. Your actions during the trial have had some interesting consequences on some of the imprints. Speaking of which, you should check the list of eliminations again. Now, I'll see myself off before Love notices anything, see you later. Raising an eyebrow, Sofia checked the list of defeated Triales again. One name in there jumped at her face. What? What's going on? Are Cooley and Morn eliminated? Bookie asked with a worried voice. No. They're both still going. But, Sofia said nothing more and just shared the list with her skeletons, aside from Parath who was already looking at his own list. Pestle read faster than Bookie and grabbed her skull in her tiny hands. Gah! Tatados is kill, she shouted, before letting her bones fall messily to the floor. Pestle missed Tatados kill twice. Nuuu, she complained, her skull rolling on the icy floor. Sofia chuckled, let Bookie down and scooped up Pestle's bones. You wanted to fight him that bad? I didn't even know. The mess of bones built itself back up into a coherent fairy in Sofia's palms. Everyone fun kill Tatados with not Pestle, she accused. That couldn't be helped, your mission was to rob the lich, that was more important, you know? Nobody else would have been capable of stealing that book. Pestle sat in Sofia's palm calming down but visibly still unhappy, only for her mood to switch completely a few seconds later. She jumped back up radiating energy. Someone kill Tatados. Pestle can kill killer. Yeah, we're probably going to have to do that, Sofia confirmed, and you will absolutely have to participate, so don't you worry about being left out. With Sis and Sonia already being out. The only ones who even stand a chance against Tartaros. 2 people. Izarid and Senior. Sen is scary, Bookie chimed in, I think it's him. You find him scary? Sofia asked, we never really got to see him fight seriously. But he did survive that planetary hit in Gak's event. There's a high chance we'll get to fight him now, so I'm curious to see what he's got. It was soon time for the 9th round, and the entire team left the waiting room, because the skeletons were bored. Sofia couldn't even hear or see Love nor the spectators. The arena was nothing but a straight ice field, in the middle of a blizzard. A strong, constant wind blew snow and chunks of ice in Sofia's face, so she quickly put her helmet on. Can't see 2 meters ahead in this thing. Sofia closed her eyes and probed the surroundings with her mana senses. I see. Vast open plains, kind of. A few protruding rocks here and there. Or are those chunks of ice? And the opponent this time? An elf? Oh no, the ears are a bit droopy, I think. Vampire. He's got a long weapon but I'm not too sure what it is. I'm getting better at seeing details from a distance but still a long way to go before it becomes better than regular sight in normal conditions. Without any further introduction, Love announced the fighter's name and the beginning of the duel. The Bone Squadron against Ice Master Villanir, begin. Ice Master? That's part of his name? Well, maybe not, she's been taking some liberties with my name. Still, Ice Master, in this weather? Everyone stay back for now, alright? Make an ice statue or something. Sofia told the skeletons as she walked up to the arena's barrier. As soon as the barrier was lifted, Sofia's legs froze over in a flash. Well, I'm immune to cold damage. Forcing on her legs a bit, Sofia shattered the layer of ice, as a series of spear-shaped ice spikes crashed and broke against her helmet. I can't even heat death them because I'm immune to the magical part. As Sofia's right hand scraped off the thick layer of ice that the spears had left on her helmet, her legs froze over a second time. I see how it's going to be. All right, Sir Ice Master. Let's see if your cold can withstand my heat. Breaking the ice around her legs again, Sofia turned her staff into the spine of the Black Sun's sword form, and began channeling a piercing bolt over it. Chapter 717, Nowhere to Hide. Sofia slowly advanced through the icy storm, waving her piercing bolt around. How hot were the angel bolts, really? That was the kind of question Sofia thought she would be better off not knowing the answer to. She had been accumulating enough protection that unless she pushed the bolts to the maximum, the heat barely bothered her anymore. But that did not make them any less hot. At first it was like a small bubble formed in the blizzard, like it stopped around the bolt, and in just a few seconds, that bubble grew until even the ice Sofia stepped on was quickly melting. Another salvo of ice spears rained upon Sofia. At first, she tried to block them with the bolt, but she discovered it was already futile. The thin magical ice spears were melting fast enough in the bolt's vicinity that by the time they would have reached their target, Dodge Me just curved their path around Sofia. Ah, yeah, it's starting to really get hot. That took, what, 20 seconds? Well, that's more than 500,000 mana already. Is this one really supposed to help me awaken faster? She wondered, tracking the vampire through her mana senses. He moves pretty fast and erratically, hard to aim for but not impossible. I doubt I could be precise enough to kill him. Maybe his signature skill is worth something but I'd rather get done with it at this point. Let's get rid of this shitty weather. A calm music started playing around Sofia as sixth melody reserved a fifth of her mana. The blizzard's howling whines started to calm down somewhat, but it still kept going. Not enough. Should help Remia at least. But I want some sun. Doing back jumps to dodge ice spikes that started continuously erupting from under her, Sofia started channeling another skill. 2 million should be fine. Saintesmancer's star. A blinding star of burning holy light formed a few meters above Sofia. The heat transformed the blizzard into a sudden rainfall, then into steam. Knee-deep in a water hole mostly created by the bolt melting the ground, Sofia now could not see more than an arm's length away with her eyes. I think this is my first time having a bath in the middle of a fight. Since she couldn't see, Sofia monitored the magic around her. The vampire had actually come a bit closer, and seemed to be preparing something. Using a lot of mana? Let's see what you have. Pestle unexpectedly ran up to Sofia from behind. Sofia, she called out, Sofia am melting Boki's snowman. Ah. My bad, Sofia answered, dispelling the star right away. Thank. Pestle said, noticing the temperature dropping at once, running back to the direction she came from. Wait. This is supposed to be a serious fight. Oh, he's finally done with his casting? Noticing the mana movements looking like a spell about to resolve, Sofia let her bolt go, simply opening her hand after aiming her staff at the correct direction. Round 9/13, win. Hey. No way, I directly hit his mana heart. I didn't even mean to do that. A tall, tan-skinned lady with pointy ears slouched back on her throne, holding her belly laughing, ahaha, lucky you villainier, she didn't humiliate you too badly. Just killed you in one hit before even getting to see you. Bahahaha. Aha. Yes, very funny your majesty. Shall I take some time off of your schedule tomorrow to reserve a relentlessly mocking my chancellor spot? The real Ice Master villainier answered. TSSK. Always so serious. Have you seen a ground recently? How's our little duke doing? He passed by my office earlier today. Lady Astelia is still in a sour mood over being unable to watch with us, but she is being diligent with her training nonetheless. The queen fixed her posture on her chair, taking a sip out of a mithril goblet filled with bright blood. She really takes after her mother. Have a ground force her to take breaks if he needs to, all that stress is not good for her. I've lost enough of the family to the curse already. A ground would not let such a tragedy happen again. Not to mention, she has the moon's protection. The queen's pointy teeth showed through her mad smile. It's not enough, she grumbled, not nearly enough. The mithril goblet creaked and started to bend in the queen's palm. I'll make her immortal if I have to. Villainier sighed, I only wish you had such adamant determination toward your own survival, your majesty. Aha. And what for? You better pray to the moon every night that Ishka and the child do not see the afterlife before I do, or I will end this cursed race myself, the queen grumbled through her teeth. Rolling his eyes, Villainier used his ice magic to freeze over all the blood the queen had spilt from her goblet and clean up the mess. A third person entered the spectator room at the same time. Marina, we have the next two opponent. All in on them again. The queen's mood instantly improved upon hearing the voice of her last remaining cousin, who had been her prisoner on a tight leash ever since he had come back from one too many near-death experiences involving a malevolent god. She turned around on her throne, bending over its top back. What do you think, Nicey? Do I look like someone who changes her mind so easily? Absolutely, yes, Cardinal answered with a deadpan face. The next one is a no-name dwarf, but they go against Happy Cloud after that, Sun's executor. You are aware of how nasty that elf can be. The queen raised an eyebrow, and you believe he would have what it takes to kill her 5 times in a row? Cardinal shrugged, his imprint did manage to assassinate both Tartaros and Sen once. You know just as well as I do that this won't be enough. All in all rounds, she ordered, we might actually make decent enough profit from the last 3 rounds to reimburse the finale tickets. As you wish, Cardinal answered with a smile, before disappearing as abruptly as he came. Are you that confident in the girl and her skeletons, your majesty? Villainier asked, now that Cardinal had left. Aha! I'm not, she answered, but he is. And Asti will be happy about this, too. Worth more than whatever we ought to gain or lose with the bets anyway. Still, they have a good chance to reach the finale, in my opinion. And after that? Villainier asked. After that? That will depend. We shall know when the bell tolls, watching from a front row seat. Sofia's next battle was against a rather tall dwarf. As it was round 10, there was a coin toss to decide on the arena. The dwarf won, and picked some kind of underground volcano as the arena, the name of which Sofia had never heard before. According to Love, the arenas used to be fixed, but now almost any location could work, as long as either the system or the trial knew it well enough. It was changed simply because people were starting to get bored of always seeing the same place. As for the dwarf, what his abilities were, Sofia had no idea. What his mistake was: staying too close to the arena's central barrier. The duel started. Sofia summoned herself forward, and the dwarf's skeleton promptly excused itself from his body, provoking the sighs of many people who had paid for their seat in the audience this round. Round 10/13, win. At least the arena was very pretty with all that flowing magma. Would love to actually visit that, Sofia thought as she was teleported back to the waiting room. Has your awakening gone up? Bookie asked, full of hope. Not at all. Still at 51. Oh. I still have 3 rounds. Don't worry about it. The high scribes are even helping. They've never failed us before, right? Sofia sarcastically asked with a smirk. But it's not funny if you really lose. Bookie complained. If even Nex says that it is going to be fine, then it probably will. Just focus on your role, alright? We should actually start get into really serious battles from now, considering just how few people are left. So you might have to step in. What about Pestle? Can Pestle his leg? Yes, everyone. Someone in there killed both Tartaros and Saria. We can't afford to keep playing around forever. Take every battle seriously from now on. Even if it slows my awakening a bit, hopefully the finale will make up for it. Just imagine if we lost now, so close to the perfect run pin. The waiting room from round 10 onward was a relatively sleek-looking place with electric lights, reminding Sofia of a mix between the admin's hidden Cerberus home and Richard's underwater base. The 30 minutes wait between rounds was starting to feel like an eternity, but it at least gave Sofia some time to think of a proper strategy against all the relevant remaining opponents, with the limited data she had on them. Finally, the 11th round started, and as Sofia and her skeletons entered the white void that served as a decor for the coin toss, she discovered her 11th opponent. Mr. Cloud. Even after seeing me he's still looking confident. Finally a real fight? Love appeared in the middle, a golden coin with her face on one side and a kleptra on the other rolling between her fingers. Well. As usual the person with the most points gets to decide, so Sir Perith. Face? Or Zote? Perith summoned a weird Z-shaped sword of light, for the second time. Zote again? Understood. Let's see how my cutie treats you this time. Love cocked her shoulder back and threw the coin so high it disappeared from view. 20 seconds later, it fell back with a loud bang, landing perfectly on one side without bouncing back a single time. Clearly visible on it was the nightmarish figure of a kleptra. It's Zoth. Perith wins. What is the arena this time going to be? Everyone is watching. Sofia glanced at the elf again. Well. Let's see if this works. After she cleared her throat, she named a place that raised more than a few eyebrows. The Skin Plains. Error. Data incomplete. Do you consent to a targeted memory scan, yes/no? Go ahead. Data retrieved. Arena accepted, loading now. The white void suddenly turned dark. Chapter 718, Suffering from Success. Dreadful place, Happy Cloud commented, bending down to grab a handful of grey dust. May I ask why? I think you can guess why. There's no sun, nowhere to hide, and enough of this disgusting skin dust that it's going to be very hard for you to make your invisibility worth anything unless you decide to try your luck at the pure darkness above us. Not leaving me many options, indeed. I am honored you hold me in such high regards, but if your eye can detect my invisibility already, I have to wonder whether that was really necessary. Would be bad if I took no precautions and just happened to lose an eye at the start of the battle, wouldn't it? I am just making extra sure nothing can stop me from getting to the finale. Happy Cloud nodded, thorough preparations are always good. Well, a long dark cape appeared around the elf's shoulders, covering his entire body. I am ready. Spatial magic not blocked unlike the real place. Was worth a try. Now I know what to expect with the other arenas. Sofia lightly stretched, activating her armor and waiting for Love to finish talking to the audience which could not be seen beyond the moon's ambient darkness. And there we are. For the first time, the betting rate is a bit split. Can the adventurous gamblers win big with an executor victory? Let's find out. Bone Squad vs Happy Cloud. Begin. The countdown started. Perith took his position in front of Sofia, while Pestle stood on his head, menacingly waving her golden knife at the elf. Cloud jumped back a few times, taking proper distance not to get caught up in Sofia's aura, while Sofia prepared something new, dumping dozens of bone blades in the dust around her. That many should be enough. Everyone ready? Pestle, don't forget the battle plan. The barrier disappeared. The arena was dead silent. Happy Cloud had ran far enough to be out even of Sofia's mana senses. We stand our ground, Perith, keep the sanctified on the brink of activation. Sofia mentally ordered as she started channeling an explosive bolt. The longer I channel this, the easier I win, you have no choice but to come, Cloud. Pestle carefully looked around. Her senses weren't much worse than Sofia's, so she was to act as a spotter. Behind. Pestle warned. Perith immediately teleport to the other side of Sofia, shield raised. The elf struck out of nowhere, like black lightning. His long daggers ripped through Perith's shield and two armors, but hit his arm's bones without being able to damage them. This did not stop his momentum, however, as the daggers slid against the bones and continued toward Sofia, the elf whirling through the air. Pestle attacked, somehow only hitting the elf's black cape. He had teleported in front of Sofia. With an instantaneous strike, his dagger pierced straight through her chest and mana heart. Sofia almost died. With 1% of her health left from VPPV's protection, she smiled under her helmet, and turned the elf's skeleton into a cactus. Pestle struck again right after, ripping off the elf's head, before Perith's oversized hammer came down to transform the Happy Cloud into a happy bloodstain. His remains and equipment quickly turned into a smelly black dust after his death. Even without invisibility he's just that fast, hey. Not dead either. That fake had no mana heart. Some kind of clone? Well, now I'm stuck here. Sofia decided to dispel her bolt. Being at low enough health for her racial pillar of creation to activate while still over 90% of her mana was a pretty rare occurrence. With a 90 times range increase, which included her mana senses and aura, she felt that she should be able to track down the elf's real location. Perith, did that attack on me mark him with judgment? Perith silently nodded, looking at a specific direction. That way? Sofia's senses scanned the empty plains, her choice of a terrain so devoid of any outstanding features made her job easy. Happy Cloud's mana stood out like a sore thumb once Sofia knew where to look. Found him. Pestle, you go. Long way around. I'll tell you when to strike. With a silent nod, Pestle disappeared. Two more fakes. I see. They're hard to distinguish from the real thing. Wait. Another one from the left. Perith. Perith's flying shields of light formed a wall covering Sofia's left side. Just in time, as a dozen thrown knives hit the shields, getting stuck in them. The fake had to enter Sofia's close aura to perform his attack, said aura reaching just over kilometer away from her. One attack was all the fake had time to perform before his own bones started to curve and force him into a mangled flesh ball. That wasn't all, the knives exploded. Sofia was pretty confident in her resistance to explosions, more so with Pillar of Creation currently having the damage she received, negating her twin rule set Malice, but she still spent the mana to heat death the explosions away. 1% health just wasn't much, and with the opponent being a specialized assassin, Sofia was ever so slightly worried that he might be able to truly kill her through her unlife runes somehow, so she was not going to take any risks. This got him a second judgment stack, right? Perfect. Let's finish this. I'll distract him. Pestle, Perith, get ready. Sofia took control of the bone blades she had dumped on the ground earlier. Under her control, they all flew toward of the two fakes she was still tracking, while she prepared her essence cores, drawing rejection's rune. He's almost in range almost. The bone blades started raining upon one of the fakes. While mockery of the Divine's rejection blasted the other one into the sky. Now. With a flash of light, Perith Divine Warp ed away. Out of nowhere, Happy Cloud was surrounded, Pestle behind him, Perith in front, unleashing a nova of light and ready to strike. Forced to choose, the elf sidestepped Perith's sword. Pestle shot through his chest. She emerged from the front, covered in blood-red entrails, a shining yellow mana heart in hand. Time for leg. The mana heart disappeared between Pessel's jaws. Round 11/13, win. Even if you attack me from outside of my aura, that doesn't mean you can escape my skeletons. Perfect job everyone. Sofia and the others were not taken back to the waiting room right away. They couldn't see Love but they could hear her now that Cloud was dead. Yet another clean win for the skeleton crew. The executor got executed so fast his signature skill failed to even activate. Only 2 rounds left. And now is my time to remind you that tickets for round 13 also buys you a seat for the grand finale, so you better prepare your money. Don't complain later if you miss your chance to buy. Next up is Sun Saintess against one of Progress Heroes. Betting time is almost over, be quick. Love paused for a second, and Sofia's group was returned to the waiting room. Morn against one of the heroes? Is she fighting Izarid? Sofia walked around the waiting room, anxious. She wanted to trust Nex and the High Scribes for her awakening, but at the same time, even the battle against Happy Cloud had only gotten her up to 52%, 1% closer to completion. The Leviathan got it up very fast despite the quick encounters, so hopefully as long as one fight is sufficiently dangerous, it could be enough. I just need something that will make me truly struggle. Sen is my last chance, basically. Izarid gets countered too hard by Heat Death, even if he goes all out I just have so much more mana than he does. If Izarid fights Sen before me and beats him I'm just done, I think. Well. As long as I win I get the grand finale. Still waiting for that damned bell to ring, so it's safe to assume by now that the grand finale is where it's at. Increased difficulty is just what I need, so good that I managed to kill the unkillable god. I don't even care about the extra reward at this point, as long as I manage to awaken properly. Oh, the defeated list is starting to update. Let's see. Morn won her fight against the hero, it seems. Sen and Izarid still both around. Oh, Cooley failed at the 11th round. Unlucky. Good run, though. She wouldn't beat me in a finale, so this is just 1 round shy of her best possible score. I wonder who got her. Lost in her thoughts, Sofia barely noticed the time, and was surprised when it was already her turn to fight again. The waiting room's door opened to the white void again. Oh, hello, Izarid. Chapter 719, Going All Out. So this is where my luck runs out, Izarid mumbled from his side as Sofia approached. I heard that, Sofia called out, are you that sure you have no chance already? The other events have made that pretty clear, no? Even with my 3rd specialization I don't think that's enough to bridge the gap. I did what I could to prepare, but honestly it's not looking good. There's always a chance. I'm looking forward to what you've prepared for me. Let's see if I can at least kill you a few times. You have 5 resurrections, right? Sofia smiled but didn't answer. Izarid sighed, well. I'm ready. I wonder who's watching. Well, if I trust my spectator count, basically everyone who's able to, if you mean the seats. Maybe it's better that we can't see them anymore. Yeah, you might be right. Bought anything from the shops yet? Nothing much aside from the specialization ticket. I'm saving for the master items. Already know which one you want? I do, Parith is still uncertain about his, though. Which one would you take if you could have one? Probably the catalyst you showed me, that thing on a good scepter is just disgusting. If not, assuredly the necklace. Getting many good items isn't an issue with progress backing, but wearing too many can quickly become one. I've found out that at around 4 enchanted rings on one hand it starts disrupting my spell casting. Ah, yeah, I have noticed that this is a thing. Only wearing 2 rings right now. I'd need a master hat, personally. Look at this, Sofia said, taking out the saint set hairband and putting it on. Between the crown and my horns there's barely any space left for this thing. I can see that. Well, I'm not getting a master item anyway. Sofia scratched her head awkwardly, yeah, sorry again about that. You know what I think already. But hey. Doesn't mean I won't try to beat you anyway. Try kill. Pessel joyfully added. I sure hope so. Time to prove you aren't all talk. Unlike her, Sofia added, throwing a side glance at the goddess hovering nearby continuously speaking in a voice they couldn't hear, to a public they couldn't see. Sure is speaking a lot his time. Gotta up the bets for the semi-finale I imagine. Probably that. The other match is Sun Saintess from my team against Sen, it's probably going to have heavy bets as well. Speaking of which, did you kick Tartaros out? I thought you were the one who got him. Iserid answered. Logical conclusion, but no. Can Sun's Saintess do that? Maybe. I think if she can survive the initial blows, and with a favorable terrain, perhaps she could just about eke out a win? Which round did he lose at again? That was round 8, the Elven City. Oh, the bombs, Sofia noted. Yeah, these things could definitely injure him, so. Maybe. Or it's just the Seraph. Yeah. Maybe. Any information on how he fights, by the way? You did fight him for a bit in the last man standing event. Iserid lightly frowned. We both didn't have much when we fought. But basically he seems to fight with copies of himself. That's just his floor 99 item, isn't it? No, Iserid shook his head. I think either he changed his skills to work with the item in between the second and fourth trial, or the item just happened to perfectly match his skills, but you'll understand if you fight him. Sofia wanted to thank Iserid for the tip, but Love finally turned around toward them, so she just gave him a nod instead. Finally done with the betting. You guys, I'm making so much money thanks to you today, you can come to my domain for a free meal anytime. Assuming we even find a way to get there. Just build me a temple and it'll be the easiest thing ever. But never mind that, we have a lot of high-profile people waiting, and as funny as it is to make them wait, they know where I live, also. So let's get this show started. Sir Perith, once again, the choice is yours. Love, or Zote. After a tense moment of silence, Perith summoned an L-shaped weapon. Oh, stop. You're gonna make me blush. Love cried out, throwing the coin up farther than the eye could see once again. Everyone's eyes were fixated on the coin as it landed with a sonorous bang. Unlucky eye. It's my lovely Zote again. Intense relief could be seen on Iserid's face as he realized he won the coin toss. Space? Your home world? Sun's bedchambers. What will it be? Sun's beck ambers? Love, are you sure that a valid arena? Sofia wondered, deciding not to say that out loud. Iserid showed no hesitation, it seemed he had a location all planned out for Sofia already. The Chekran's lair. Ooh. Interesting choice. Very interesting. Chekran? Another monster I've never heard of. The white void started to shift, the air to feel dense and sticky and the ambient mana to shoot through the roof. Sofia felt that it was a familiar sensation, but it was hard to pinpoint, until a sudden shift occurred. The arena was now inside of a cavern, underwater. Oh, it's mana water like in Skirich's primordial lake. Neat. And these walls? Are we inside of a mana ley line? Aside from these key features, the cavern was essentially a long, mostly straight flooded tunnel. The height and width were pretty uneven depending of the spot, but Sofia calculated that they averaged about 50 meters, which was not that much space to fight in, but in terms of length, she couldn't see an end to the tunnel on either side. Some dark holes of various sizes dotted the sides of the tunnel here and there, but Sofia couldn't really see far into them from where she was. Down observing her surroundings, Sofia analyzed the situation. Oh wow! I can tell right away, all the mana in the water is messing with my aura badly. It's also saturating my mana senses so much I cannot see shit. It's like staring at a white wall. He also has a big speed advantage underwater compared to me, unless I use my demon form. Perith will be slowed a lot and maybe Pestle as well. Using the rod in such an environment. Risky gamble. I've seen what happens when the ley lines are hit a bit too hard, though this could play to my advantage. And obviously, no sun for my mana regeneration or Bookie's blessing. I have to hand it to him, he really got me in the worst position possible. Well, let us see if that's enough. Alright, arena stable. The mana hoarder versus the mana cheater, begin. Both sides immediately started serious preparations. On Sofia's side, she started multicasting several spells. A piercing bolt appeared over her sword-form scepter in her left hand, and an explosive bolt in her right hand, protected by the draconic armguard. At the same time, she was preparing to summon the Skull Choir, a Saintmancer's star, and she got a large panel of Lumion bones out of her storage, placing almost right in front of her like a wall before giving it the blessing of permanent frame. She was truly pushing her multicasting to the limit. On Iserid's side, he took 9 large square orichalcum plates out of his storage, they brought themselves together to form a single larger plate, which was engraved with a very intricate ritual circle. That ritual plate floated upright to stand like a large wall behind Iserid, who swam up to be in the center of the ritual. He then further summed 12 pillar-like stakes of Adamian steel that, to Sofia's surprise, embedded themselves in the surrounding ley line without causing any mana explosion, forming a large circle around the tunnel. That done, Iserid started channeling some regular spells of his own. Perith, Pestle, Offense together. Bookie, Priest, Pearled Snake. Sofia ordered as she tried and struggled to decipher Iserid's ritual circle as fast as possible while keeping all of her spells up. Just before the end of the timer, Sofia temporarily gave up on decoding the ritual circle to get the mental leeway to proceed with a final bit of preparation. Title changed to the Glorious. Title change function is locked for the next 24 hours. Unique: the Glorious. While wearing the Crown of Victory, enemies in a large area around you are consumed by the flames of victory, dealing damage over time and preventing them from absorbing ambient mana. Damage from the flames of victory cannot be prevented. The barrier disappeared and chaos immediately ensued. Several things happened at once. 5 huge sandworm skulls appeared in a circle behind Sofia, slowly starting to charge their laser attack. Bookie got done summoning the High Priest, who wasted no time casting some buff on Perith. Perith charged through the water, using several air steps both from his ritual and signature skill, which was much faster than swimming. He activated his sanctified grounds, which now covered an area vast enough to include both the places Sofia and Iserid were standing, though barely, and swung at the water to unleash a first arc light toward Iserid. Pestle turned invisible and flew close to Perith, and Iserid, who was instantly starting set ablaze by the flames of victory, raised his staff to unleash his first spell. Perith was hit by the same concentrated beam of light that had killed Pestle and Happy Cloud at the beginning of the trial. Pestle saw it coming this time, and managed to avoid it, but Perith took a frontal hit. His mana heart barely relocated out of the way, keeping him alive, but the right side of his body simply disappeared, engulfed by the torrent of mana. That single spell erasing almost 100 million health points. Benefiting from the lingering effect of Sofia's close aura, he was still regenerating 10% of his health a second, so 4 seconds would be enough for him to be back to full, but 4 seconds could seem extremely long in such a battle. His arc light then reached Iserid, almost, as it crashed again a huge spherical shield. That was what his ritual and pillars were for, much like Sofia's bone wall, protection. While Sofia calculated her next best move, Iserid's staff rose again. Chapter 720, High Mana Battle. Aimed at you again. Sofia warned Perith and Pestle, as she could feel through heat death the attack wasn't for her. The High Priest just barely cast a healing spell on Perith, speeding up his recovery a good chunk before Iserid's next spell materialized. Perith's shield was up and ready, while Pestle dove forward, slipping to the side of the spherical barrier protecting Iserid. Instead of another near-instant attack, a bright white ball of magic formed just outside of the Andarian's staff, and slowly floated toward Perith. I have a bad feeling about this. Try not to get hit by it. Iserid started casting something else, but it was finally Sofia's moment. She waited an instant for Pestle to be about ready to attack, and launched a coordinated assault. Having dug a bit into the wall, Pestle started to destroy one of the stakes holding up the shield, while Sofia occupied Iserid's attention. 30 seconds should be enough for a start. Let's not waste mana. A bright Saintesmancer's star appeared behind Sofia, its curse immediately forcing Iserid to look her way, while the 5 sandworm skulls of the choir finally attacked. 5 beams of light crashed into Iserid's shield in the same point, sparks of energy spreading through the flooded cavern. The shield held, without showing any sign of breaking, but Sofia knew how these kind of rituals worked. With most of the energy focused of the front to defend against the obvious attack, it left the protection of the anchoring stakes weakened. Pestle managed to break the first stake, some of its internal composants causing a small explosion, hiding Pestle as she quickly gobbled up the larger pieces of the stake to prevent Iserid from even trying to fix them. Sofia refocused on monitoring Iserid's incoming attack. He fought back against Sofia's star, summoning some kind of white pillar in front of him that seemed to absorb the star's curse. And now, free from the annoying light, he could pay attention to Pestle, unleashing a rain of electric arrows in her direction. At the same time, the sandworm skull's attack died down, and now they would need a few seconds to recharge. Meanwhile, Perith was struggling trying to escape the white ball, which followed him no matter where he went, slowly picking up speed as it tried to crash into him. Perith! Rotate left, jump up and back. Perith immediately followed Sofia's order, the ball of light just barely missing him as he jumped backwards, and immediately correcting course. Now. Well, and teleport. Perith cast gravity well, forcing the ball of light to curve toward him even faster, and giving it a lot more speed. The moment before the collision, Perith disappeared. The spell crashed into Izarad's own shield, right on the spot the skull choir had been targeting instants before. Sofia instinctively hid behind her bone wall, Perith and her other skeletons standing around her. The entire tunnel was engulfed in a flash of white light, and her life slowly ticked down a few percent as she took residual damage she couldn't even feel. Even during that moment of blindness, Sofia heard another small explosion. Well done, Pestle. Rotate to the back of his shield for now, divert his attention. When the light started to die down, Perith rode the pearled snake forward. Though not an aquatic beast, the snake was still much faster than Perith underwater and highly resistant to magic. Perith's sword morphed to a jesting lance, and while Izarad cast another salvo of electrical arrows that curved around his ritual slate to hunt Pestle, Perith stabbed the shield. The shield flickered but did not give in. Izarad thrust his staff forward. Another beam of light. It carved a gigantic hole through Perith's body, leaving behind only disconnected heads and legs. His mana heart had relocated to his skull again. Use the heal. Sofia told him, knowing that his skull was the only necessary body part to cast it. Perith's greater heal went off, and his body was whole again. After avoiding the electric arrows, Pestle started attacking a third stake, but she was a bit late. With no one else attacking the shield, she couldn't get through it and reeled back from the strength of her own punch. Izarad disappeared from Sofia's view. Shit! Pestle! Perith and the snake took the opportunity to back up for another justing charge. The bolts are still too weak. Not even 500,000 yet. Fuck! Sofia felt her link with Pestle disappear, and Izarad reappeared in the center of his shield, just as Perith struck again. Skulls! The sandworm skulls unleashed their beam attack a second time, hitting the spot Perith had struck just as he moved away. It's breaking! Waving his staff, Izarad transformed the tunnel's water into a giant block of ice that spread out from his shield. Perith and the snake were too close and instantly engulfed by the ice, while Sofia had some time to see it coming. Summoning more bone slates, she transformed her wall barricade into a sealed bone cube with herself and the high priest inside. Perith can't teleport out of that. Shit! And I think he knows not to attack me because of the corona specialization. I could try to take advantage of that, but safely channeling the bolts is almost certainly the winning move. The magic ice spread outside of the cube, unable to cool the mana-charged water inside without direct contact and with the bolts heating everything up. It continued just past the cube, and stopped right there, its propagation halted by the heat of the Saintmancer's star. Wait! That's the perfect opportunity. You fucked yourself, easy. Sofia summoned herself outside of the cube, and hastily built a bone wall behind the star. In seconds, she completely sealed the back end of the tunnel, and that done, converted the star to its cold form, its sickly light spreading the rot. The rot was able to consume the mana in liquid, but only if it could surround it. First it needed a solid to take a hold of. Just the sides of the tunnel weren't ideal, as it would try to eat the ley lines, not the water. Now that the water itself was solid, though, it was a different ball game. The wall of ice started to spread again as the heat of the star disappeared, but it was quickly covered in a layer of rot. Each second that passed, the layer of rot got thicker, and the ice disappeared. As for the mana ley lines, it seemed that the rot that spread on it went so crazy with the amount of mana that it degenerated into eating itself before even consuming anything. Above Sofia, the level of water started to decrease as the ice was consumed. Everything was such a mess, Sofia did not notice anything wrong until she felt something hit her back. Sofia only had a fraction of a second to decide whether or not to sacrifice 800,000 mana to heat death. She chose not to. Izarad's spell blasted straight into her chest, turning her insides into a molten slushy of mana, her mana heart included. Sofia returned to life 3 seconds later, her bolt still channeling. Crap! How often can he teleport like that? I felt nothing because of the mana water. Sofia thought, flying up to the thin pocket of gas that had formed near the top of tunnel from the rot eating the ice. Better. I can finally use my mana senses at least a little bit. High Priest died too. Nasty ambush attack. That must be how he got Pestle. The sandworms attacked him it seems, they're on cooldown again. I know he has a solid personal shield though, they wouldn't be enough to break it. He probably backed out because of the rot, as I hoped. The star likely saved my ass from another Hugo-style death on revival. Perith is still stuck. But not for long. The rot's almost up to you. Since he's not attacking, he must be repairing the shield right now. More time for my bolts. 2 million bolts would do, I think, so we need to hold for another 30 seconds. Fucking slow. As she focused on channeling her bolts as fast as possible, Sofia started to see long strands of mana piercing through the rot and starting to fill the air. Curse now? Sofia waved her bolt in front of her, the glowing plasma destroying the cursed strands without difficulty. Just how much mana can this guy use in a single fight? And that's with Victory's flames preventing him from absorbing anything too. Mana cheater Does he get free spells? Mana refunds? Kinda wish I still had the skill copy to steal that. Still, he's not casting as often it looks like. I just need not to get surprised again. The rot finally freed Perith and the snake from the ice. Perith's purification had kept them safe from the curse, but his mana was whirling inside of him in a strange fashion. Sofia immediately understood what Perith was doing, and rushed back down to her barricade wall. He was using his one skill with a long channeling time. This might be our chance. Sofia started channeling her signature skill, using almost all the mana she had left, barely enough to get Amaziok the Calamity of Plasma out for 10 seconds. As soon as the final layer of ice surrounding the shield was eaten away by the rot, Perith unleashed the Sunless Pulse. Just like the one the huge fused Sunless sometime used on Cerberus, the pulse of mana quickly spread like a sphere originating from Perith's mana heart, ripping through space as it expanded. Iserad's spherical shield was badly shaken by the blow but held, barely, until Sofia's piercing bolt slammed right through, and crashed against his smaller, personal shield. The explosive bolt followed right after, slipping inside of the self-repairing spherical shield through the tiny hole the piercing bolt had left. The explosion rocked the tunnel, and was contained inside of the shield, making it much deadlier. But Sofia received no victory notification. That was expected. With a smirk, she used Paradise Toybox to freeze the trial. Where did our little hero teleport to? Sofia looked around, surprised to find Iserad behind her, in the water far beyond her bone wall. She was done channeling her signature skill just in time. Her aura opening a hole through the bone wall, letting the water pour in, the destroyer of plasma emerged from her mana heart, going straight for Iserad. Using the very last bits of her mana, Sofia gave 1 second of third-tier Runeforged Overlord to the destroyer. The Andorian hero fled, briefly turning around to unleash another beam of light toward the destroyer. It ate away at the plasma skeleton's body, cutting its lifetime in half. It did not slow it whatsoever. Huge mandibles of plasma closed around Iserad's body. Only momentarily stopped by his shield before breaking through. The Andorian somehow survived that first blow, but the destroyer's mandibles violently opened and closed again several times. Round 12/13, win. Great call, Perith. You won us this one.